And so I just wanted to explain a little bit about what I'm doing presently. So I've been running this center called the Asia Center in Bangkok for about 4 years. Operates as a social enterprise, so a lot of how it funds its activity is through enterprise. We manage a conference space in Bangkok and we run ticketed events like international conference and so on and so forth. Why in Bangkok? Because of the licensing laws, we can organize activities that have people from everywhere speaking. We don't need special license and things like that. So we run activities about Myanmar, the Rohingya crisis, and we can invite anyone we like really to speak at the conference instead of just having it restricted to national. So this has been running about 4 years. It's almost sustainable. And I'm making plans to open a second center in JB. So akan datang, I'll keep you guys posted. Okay. Now, my sharing about the fake news comes from Asia Center's project. We are running a freedom of expression project that's for 3 years, 19, 20, 21. This year, we are looking at the role of fake news and its impact on elections. So what we have found out around the region is increasingly fake news is resulting in fake elections because results are contested, and some of it's still hanging, like the situation in Thailand and also in Indonesia. Next year, we are looking at hate speech in Asia and how around the region, right, governments are introducing what is called harmony bills. They call it differently. I mean, over here we call it the religious harmony bill. There's national harmony bill. There are social harmony bills, and also how many countries that have ratified the International Convention Against Elimination of Racial Discrimination are not, effectively also implementing them. So that, and the third year in 2021, we are going to look at authoritarian disinformation and propaganda in the region, right? How governments themselves as creators of fake news are part of the problem. And I think all of these themes fit very nicely in terms of how we can locate Singapore. So sometimes it's good to zoom up and see where Singapore is located. So my few minutes of intervention is really to try to help us see where Singapore is located in the region. For me, I see this period in which we are conscious of our political consciousness. I would dub this period in Singapore's history as a period in which we have a reign of legal terror. That's what I would see. And it's continuing. It's a reign of legal terror with unjust laws, and those implementing unjust laws do so with impunity. And I think we can draw a parallel to the period of white terror in Taiwan. I mean, we've seen a lot of news in Taiwan recently about the same-sex legalization, but part of how Taiwan evolved was also they had a reign of white terror. And I would like to say that we are continuously living in this period. So this reign of terror has resulted in a system of self-censorship where people are afraid to speak up, and increasingly I think it makes us uncompetitive, uncritical, and therefore not competitive in the market. And it has come to such a point that through our schools, young people are encouraged already to look for jobs outside, right? And meantime, because they have created people who are kind of fearful, reluctant, they can't help themselves because there's the system, a product of the system, then we need people with new skills. So we need to bring people from abroad, either with new skills or lower cost, right? And thirdly, I think it also, during this period, right, because they arrested critical academics, journalists, activists, opposition politicians, so on, and lawyers. We also have given birth, I think, to fake academics, fake activists, fake human rights lawyers, fake opposition politicians, and the list can go on. And we need a good dose of human rights literacy to be able to see through that. So this is where I think we are in terms of a regional context. Yes, the bill has passed, and again, we will see in the same bill, it's a continued reign, legal reign, through unjust laws with impunity. All of that, it hits all these features. So if this is the case, what's next for us? So I've made a list of, how colleagues in the region are addressing this. So I have a few ideas, and then I'll end. I think one thing that we can campaign for is the establishment of a National Human Rights Commission. There are 5 countries in ASEAN that do have a commission. We are one of those who don't have one. I think, a cross-sector of stakeholders in our society can start thinking about and articulating the establishment of a human rights institution. So that's one. We also have regional representative to the ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission. Now, although it doesn't have sort of human rights protection functions, we can still write to this representative and raise issues, because we need to have them on record so that whoever is being appointed by the state to be the representative, at least we can call them out, right? So it's important that we engage, right? The third thing is, we should also make submissions to the Universal Periodic Review. Singapore will come up for review in a couple of years, and we can make a single submission just on POFMA, right? Or in coalition with other stakeholders and make a submission. For both the ICHA, the Regional Commission, and also the international one, the state and its appointed representative will engage, because they need to demonstrate they're engaging with stakeholders. Now, who they engage and who they invite, of course, is a different matter. But as you engage and go up through the process, you will find that you can hold them accountable, because what we are after is transparency. We also probably need to engage the political opposition more and make sure that in their policy or agenda, they have all these issues also written up, that they actually have a human rights agenda as well. And we should also set up a watch called Government Fake News Watch, right? It should be a standing committee, citizens committee, and especially during elections time, because that's where you're going to get fake news the most. And last but not least, I think we can look to set up a people's tribunal. Now, one of the mechanisms that societies or communities around Southeast Asia, they do, because they cannot rely on their governments or some of these national institutions to provide justice. So around the world, there are many examples where people come together to organize a people's hearing. And I think this is something that we can introduce in Singapore in order to, also hear complaints against the state and have a process when these things are at. So I'll leave it here and happy to engage.